I was recently listening to an interview with the late great poet and self-proclaimed space freak, Nikki Giovanni, and learned about a phenomenon known as the overview effect. And it's a thing where after a person has gone into space, and I would have said astronaut, but given what Elon Musk is developing in Texas, it could be a whole city of people going into space. The experience, so the overview effect is the experience of seeing firsthand the reality of the Earth in space. The Earth is immediately understood to be a tiny, fragile ball of life, hanging in a void, shielded and nourished by a paper-thin atmosphere. National boundaries vanish, the conflicts that divide people become less important, and the need to create a planetary society with the united will to protect this pale blue dot becomes both obvious and imperative. I've been wondering whether it was something like the overview effect that compelled God to enter the world as a human. God created this world, so we believe, and could it be that God was looking in on it and wanted to be part of this thing that God had created? That the most godly God thing that the Creator could do could enter into the world to continue to create and recreate. Some theologians would say that Jesus was born because God had to turn the ship around, or that we were inherently so awful that God had to pay a ransom or some such. And they may be right. But I wonder if, on looking in at the earth, God was as compelled by the femur bone as anything else. There's this apocryphal story about the anthropologist Margaret Mead, retold by Ira Beilock and others, in which, in theory, a student asked Dr. Mead, "What is the earliest sign of civilization?" And the student expected her to say a clay pot or a grinding stone or maybe a weapon. And Mead thought for a moment and answered, "A healed femur." The femur is the longest bone in the human body, linking hip to knee. And in situations where there isn't orthopedic surgery, it takes about 6 weeks of rest for a fractured femur to heal. A healed femur shows that someone cared for the injured person until the bone could mend. Mead explained that where survival of the fittest rules, no healed femurs are found. But as civilization developed, there were. I bet everyone in this room can tell a story of God making a way out of no way, of a healing of something taking place, a moment of care and compassion, a miracle, so to speak. Could it be that God, who had created, wanted to be part of the project, the excitement, the sense of being part of a species that enabled the healing of one another's broken bones, that found its highest good in being of use, to make another smile or laugh or live with greater ease? That is why God entered into the world in a state of need. A baby born to refugees in a makeshift crib in someone else's extra room. That's why the star appeared and the angels showed up as a sign of power and reinforcement, the ultimate cheer squad, declaring that God had arrived to be on the healing team. Tragedies are always happening, at least for someone. W.H. Auden wrote in the poem Musée des Beaux-Arts about suffering. They were never wrong, the old masters. How well they understood its human position. How it takes place while someone else is eating or opening a window or just walking dully along. They never forgot that even the dreadful martyrdom must run its course. Anyhow, in a corner, some untidy spot where the dogs go on with their doggy life and the torturer's horse scratches its innocent behind on a tree. There's something awful happening all the time. That's true. For someone, somewhere, maybe us, maybe down the hall. So that's why we try to be like the shepherds, keeping watch. That's why on the back of your program, you'll see the list of all of the local gunshot victims in the last month, because we don't want that to become normal. It's why we bring forward the prayers of the world and one another, because we want to try and at least notice in the midst of things. And because it's in the nature of God to be on the healing team, and far more fun to do so than not. I met a member of Jesus' healing team this week. You might even know her. I was visiting one of our eldest congregants, and this congregant introduced me to their caregiver. And they said, "Let me tell you about my caregiver." We'll call her Elaine. On days when I'm feeling down, Elaine tells me it's not all that bad. And I said, "Elaine, you are bringing a word of hope." And Elaine responded, "Oh, Pastor, that's my calling from the Lord. It's all of ours." Elaine is on Jesus' team, one of the heavenly host, working for that loving of creation and recreation. And I bet that you are too. And if you find it exciting to be part of the process of healing the world and bringing joy to one another, and desiring to be of use each in our own way in honor of the God who loves us and made us and keeps us, I hope that you will consider making St. Luke's one of your spiritual homes. Tonight, you get to experience the incredible beauty of our music and art, beauty that, as Mary Oliver said, makes us ache to be worthy of it. But you didn't get a chance to see all of the flowers last week brought to people suffering in body, mind, or spirit, or the legion of people murmuring psalms at the bedsides of folks on their way out of this life, or the conversations about aging and illness and independence. But you'll see that if you stick around. And you might see some incredible work on the carceral system and housing and building and equipping children's libraries in the West Bank. And if you're an attorney, you will be invited to a training with the National Immigration Justice Center for lawyers who are called to work on short-term detention cases. All of that is going on because all of that is going on in our community right now. And we want to be part of serving. We come together on one of the longest nights of the year to hear the story again of the wild star and the heavenly host declaring that a wonderful counselor and Prince of Peace had come into even this pale blue dot. And when you leave here tonight, if our thurifer Andrew has anything to say about it, you will have the smell of incense soaked into your hair and your coat and everything about you. And that will be a sign for others that you all are a member of Jesus' healing team, that help has arrived, that a femur may be healed, and that they are not alone. May it be so. Amen.